Nerd Mastery presents spoiler-free reviews. That's right, you heard me, spoiler-free reviews. I'm Justin.
I'm Hope, and we're currently reviewing Marvel's latest edition, Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's right. After having gone through the really amazing Sam Raimi sequels, because we don't acknowledge the third one, and the really good Andrew Garfield performances, fans are finally treated to Marvel's take on their star character.
Finally!
Yes, absolutely. Spider-Man has come home, hence the name, Spider-Man Homecoming. And we're here to answer a couple of questions. For me, I'm going to answer three very important ones. Is it good? Is it worth seeing? And is it worth paying for?
Well, mine are a bit more personal. Mine are more of, did I enjoy it? How soon do I want to see it again? And would I recommend it to someone I like?
Absolutely. Now, first and foremost, this is a Marvel Studios film. This has all the tropes and tricks and various things you come to expect from a Marvel Studios film. It is definitely on the lighter side. They definitely try and make it family friendly, something for all ages, because it does have the Disney name behind it.
Though it is a bit more along the lines of Guardians of the Galaxy and more of the comedic part of it, except Guardians of the Galaxy isn't as family friendly.
Now, we are dealing with a Peter Parker who is in high school, and that's actually kind of good. It works for the film because it is very reminiscent of John Hughes. In fact, they actually pay homage to John Hughes in the film, but again, no spoilers.
And that actually helps a lot, because a lot of times, like when I was growing up, the cartoons I would see always had Peter Parker. As a high school student and as a college student, it was always figuring out how to balance these two worlds of being a superhero and being a student.
So, let's talk about Peter Parker. Tom Holland. I think he did an amazing job. I think he really does embody that young, unsure, too big for his britches, yet still wants to be the hero that he wants to be, Peter Parker.
Yeah, I have to agree on that. It's very much realistic to how a young teenager is. Because a lot of times you see that just done horribly.
Oh yeah. No offense to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but they really looked and acted like college students.
And they're supposed to be high school students.
Yeah. Here we have a 19-year-old Tom Holland who is really just fresh out of high school and playing this, this high school student. He does it very well. The realism is definitely there.
Yeah. And also it shows up in other things that were going on. It shows up in the school setting. It shows up in the places that is shown in this movie. It's very much. It feels a lot more natural than a lot of other shows can happen.
Yeah, it was very, very grounded and realistic. Yes, this is a universe where superpowered beings exist, but it was a very grounded and realistic New York. It wasn't, yes, it's a Marvel film, it is a fantasy universe, but if you take out all the superhero aspects and the amazing powers and the technology and all that, it's a kid growing up in New York trying to find his place in it.
And it also does that without doing the dark and grittiness that we got in other superhero movies. A lot of times when they're trying to make it realistic, they just up the dark and gritty and the death and murder.
Yeah, Marvel is definitely saving the dark and gritty for Netflix, where, they can control their audience. And that's good. They have their dark and gritty over here, and for the general audiences who are going to be seeing these movies, they have their standard Marvel formula. It's like I said, it's very light, it's very open to everyone, and there's really not going to be a whole lot that will be, for lack of a better word, offensive to most moviegoers. Now, we have Tom Holland as Peter Parker. It's no big secret that Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man in this film, and his part is actually quite crucial to the plot. Like, he actually does serve some purpose. And again, no spoilers, but you really do appreciate why Robert Downey Jr. is there, and the fact that he really is playing a major part in Peter Parker's life.
Yeah, and also how they do that. It's not just, oh, I'm here, and I'm in here to fight, or I'm just going to talk to you for 5 minutes and then I'm gone. It's very much, once again, they actually did this realistically of how all these interactions happen. When he can't talk, it's because of a meeting or he's busy. And when he can talk, it's because, hey, he's finally found time. And also, it does show Iron Man as a character, and Tony Stark as a character, in how the interactions go. It's not just the classic mentor-mentee sort of thing. It's actually two people talking to each other.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. absolutely is Tony Stark, and this is Tony Stark as we know him, love him, and in many cases despise him. They didn't change his character in any way, except for the parts where he actually grew as a character. But yeah, this is the Tony Stark that we've all grown up with. So you're not going to really be surprised by anything that Robert Downey Jr. does in this movie, except in those cases where you're meant to be. Now, the best part of the film in terms of the cast, Michael Keaton. Batman has joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Oh, I am so fanboying out over this. And he was fantastic. Now, whether or not you liked Birdman, you have to admit that his performance in that film was fantastic. Playing that troubled, you know, almost down on your luck former actor with a bit of some issues going on upstairs. But he played that darkness, and he played that desperation, and he brought all of his acting range into this film. All the great roles you've loved him in, he brought into this character in Spider-Man. It was amazing!
And I love the plot twist in that.
Oh, yeah.
I just, it's really hard not to do like spoilers in this, because it's like half of those plot twists are just like, you either don't see coming, or you see coming, but you're just like, no.
Yeah, Michael Keaton is that kind of actor who can go from being everyone's pal, the everyman, this you know, fatherly type figure, to being this dark, evil, sadistic bastard. And it works perfectly. He was an amazing villain. I would dare say that he has taken the perfect second place to Tom Hiddleston in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You will love him as a villain, just as we love Loki as a villain. And yeah, Marvel did an amazing job with the casting on this film. Really? You don't like Loki?
I do.
But it's Tom Hiddleston!
I like some of the comics Loki's better. I don't like the...
Bow down to Hiddleston. He is your weapon master.
I prefer the cartoons Loki's. It's much more mischief versus traitor. He's a god of mischief. There wasn't that much mischief.
Tom, if you are watching this, I still appreciate you.
I don't think it's the act. I just don't like Loki and the ones that have got Marvel Universe.
Yeah, but... Okay, we're getting off on tangent. So, was the movie good? Absolutely. It was, again, a Marvel Studios film. I don't really know how much say Sony had in it, but as we've learned from Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2, when the studios get involved, it doesn't quite work out. But this was Marvel doing its thing, and it was very good quality, excellent writing, amazing characters. Was it perfect? No. But it was definitely an enjoyable time watching, and I really didn't feel like any of my time was particularly wasted.
For me, as I definitely enjoyed it a lot. It was something that reminded me of my childhood in a lot of ways of, hey, this is the character I know and love. This is Spider-Man. So, and there was times where I was like, whenever Spider-Man got into any sort of danger, I was like really worried because I was like, oh, no, Spider-Man don't die. Or don't get hurt. Or just like, oh no, what happened to that? And it was, I got pulled in so much about this that I just didn't want to leave my seat at all for the entire movie.
Now, did you appreciate the fact that this was now truly part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so we could have all these aspects of the Marvel Cinematic Universe finally brought into this story? The fact that we can now be in a New York that has experienced everything the Marvel Cinematic Universe has experienced. The fact that we now have a Peter Parker who has been with these characters from Civil War. The fact that we no longer have a Peter Parker who is dealing with the problems of New York on his own.
Completely alone.
Yeah.
Like, with no backup.
Yeah.
It actually has, it shows how there's connections between all the superheroes, because in several things, like in the cartoons, they'll always have those episodes where one superhero comes in and helps out for the day, and because they're in the same area.
Yeah.
Even ones that are only in the same area, but happen to be.
Yeah. I mean, going back to the Raimi films and the Andrew Garfield films, you know, here we have a Spider-Man dealing with, you know, his on his own in New York. It's like, but all these other superheroes live there. They would come and they would help in this instance. And again, I'm so glad that again Spider-Man has come home to Marvel.
Second one,
Is it worth seeing? Absolutely. Definitely you want to see this. Again, I know I'm repeating myself. This is the cinematic universe. This continues that storyline that we've all followed, or rather most of us have followed, since Iron Man came out in 2008. It adds to the universe. The storylines in Spider-Man Homecoming will have ramifications throughout the rest of the universe. So if you are actively following along with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all of its intricacies, definitely check out Spider-Man Homecoming. If you are a fan of Spider-Man, definitely check out Spider-Man Homecoming. Yes, this is the third iteration of the character. Yeah, we've suffered through one reboot, this is the second reboot, but it is far different than what Sam Raimi did and what Andrew Garfield gave us. And honestly, I think it is the far superior Spider-Man. That's not to say that it's not the superior Spider-Man, which is Dr. Octavius in Peter Parker's body, comic books, complicated.
Several storylines.
Yeah, but this is definitely the Spider-Man that I feel we deserve.
And as if I would watch it again, this is actually one of the few movies that I just wanted to buy another ticket and then go immediately back in, because it's worth that much. It's just, I would watch this movie probably 3 times in a row and not be missed or bored in any second.
Yeah.
I would probably find new things every single time I watch it, because there's little details, especially when you notice things that you didn't notice before.
Yeah, and it had really good pacing too. The funny moments were funny, the serious moments were serious, and the
scary moments were terrifying.
The scary moments were terrifying, what few there were. And the slow moments weren't overly slow, and the fast moments weren't overly fast. It just flowed really nicely. Every moment kind of flowed into the next. You understood pretty much every character's motivation. The situations that they got into weren't forced for the most part.
It wasn't shenanigans. It wasn't miscommunication over the simplest thing. It was, okay, that happened. Of course that happened. It's terrible that happened, but that happened.
Yeah, you understood why every character was where they were, what they were doing, and why they were doing what they were doing. The motivations were very clear, and I for one appreciate that, because it shows that the writers don't think we're idiots. They know that we can, see and understand character motivations. It's not just, well, this character's going to go here because the plot demands it. There really wasn't a whole lot of that. Everything felt natural. Everything felt like that's how it probably should have been.
Okay, now for the last question we're going to answer.
Is it worth paying for? Now, the reason why I asked this question is because in today's film-going society, a studio knows what is good and what is bad by our dollars. How we spend our money is how the studios react. If we give studios money, they will interpret that as people want to see more of this. So, in my opinion, if a film deserves your money, that is a clear indication that, yes, this is something we want to see more of. This is what studios should be doing. If we don't give the studios our money, then that is something that we don't want to be seeing because it was terrible. And in this case, yes, the film absolutely deserves your money. We need to tell Sony that Spider-Man is perfectly fine in Marvel's hands, and they don't need to worry.
Storylines.
Exactly. Sony, I know you had your run with Spider-Man, but Marvel is doing an amazing job. Let them handle Spider-Man. You don't need to handle Spider-Man anymore. You can absolutely rake in the profits with your deal with Marvel, but please don't take Spider-Man back. Leave him with Marvel where he belongs. It will be better for you. It'll be better for Marvel. It'll be better for the studio audience. It'll be better for the movie-going audience. It'll be better for everyone.
It'll be better for Spider-Man to stay in the Marvel family.
Yes.
You don't want that with kids anymore.
So, yes, let Marvel know that Spider-Man is good in the MCU and do so with your dollars. This movie is absolutely worth paying for. Go see it. It is absolutely amazing. You will love it. And stay to the very end. It is a Marvel film. It will absolutely be worth it, I assure you. Oh yeah. No spoilers. Stay to the end. Just stay to the end. Yes, just stay to the end. It'll be so worth it.
So, and my thing is, would I bring other people to this movie? Would I recommend it? I really, really would. I would literally, anyone I know likes the Spider-Man cartoons, all the comics at all, I would just like, nope, don't watch all the Spider-Man movies, watch this one. It's literally, as I said several times before, I really think this captures the soul and heart of Spider-Man. This is how he is when he was in high school, and I literally want to bring my mom, my grandma, everyone to see this movie, because I think they would really actually enjoy it. Because it's just a movie that is inherently enjoyable in so many ways.
Any other thoughts?